At the start of the story, someone was getting hit in their face, and there are three bad-looking guys asking him on what he was smiling about. Afterwards, the protagonist was lying on the floor, and he was begging them to let him go, since he doesn't have money to pay them. Afterwards, they started to beat him by saying that if he doesn't have money, he can just quit the school, and he got beaten badly. And he was thinking that if only he had powers like a manga protagonist, and he goes on by thinking that it only happens on the dream, it doesn't exist, is what he thought and believed in a second ago, but it changed, and one of the three guys just flies, and it was our protagonist that hit him, and he quickly goes on by punching the other guy. Afterwards, the first guy comes back to hit him, while the protagonist was thinking that his body is moving on its own, and he gives him a power kick, and he quickly punches the other guy, while thinking if he is doing it all, and the protagonist was smiling and thinking on what is going on, and he was standing there while the other guys have got knocked out, and the protagonist was watching him from a different space, and he calls himself, to which the other half looks at him back, while they are wondering on who are they. And this story is all about money. If you have money, then you can do anything. In this school, this is the rule, and there is this four guys that stands in the top, and the bottom one is out protagonist who will face off this four rich dudes, and he faced off with the topest one, and he standed in the peak of the cast, and it all started with this time him asking on who are they, and he suddenly asks him that it's another him, and the other guy also asks him on it's me. Afterwards he goes on by saying that he got reincarnated into himself. After that, both of them stands together by thinking that they are going to change the school, and it was the next day, and someone opens the door, which was his mom leaving the house for work, and the protagonist says bye to his mom. And his name is Tokiwa Ren, who is a high schooler first year. After that, his mom says good morning back and tells him to check the desk, and Ren notices it, and he realizes that it was a scholarship form and a lunchbox. After that, his mom apologizes to him, to which he grabs her hand and he tells her to not be sorry, and Ren asks her to be happy, and she smiling leaves the place, and Ren thinks to himself that his mom is doing many jobs at a time, so housekeeping and dishwashing, and doing laundry is his responsibility, and he goes on by thinking that at least they are happy, and while he was trying to drink, a cat suddenly meows at him, and he gives his milk to that cat, while taking a picture of it, and he posts it to the social media, and he goes to the Median Academy, and this Median Academy is the famous school in the entire Tokyo, and this school is top in everything and all the richest studies here, and Ren bumps into someone, and he suddenly says sorry to them, but they just tells him that he is gross, and they reacted like that, because Ren is the bottom guy on the cast. After that, a car comes in front of the school door, and someone comes out of the car, and all the other students looks at them, and the other reason the school is famous, and all the other students starts to give away to them. The four students who rules this school, known as the Four Gods, and their parents are famous wealthy individuals, since they donate enormous amount to the school. Even the school principal and the board chairman bow to them, and one of them is Inui Sho, who is the heir of the major corporation, and he manages SNS, which is exclusively for the school, and it's called Billy, and he is earning some good money despite being a student. Suddenly someone calls him, and they bow down by giving him the money for the Billy subscription, and he takes the money and asks him that it's fewer than what they discussed before, to which the other guy says that there are some students that is still on the free plan, but that guy gets a punch from him, which sent him flying. Afterwards he steps on him by saying that, since when does he gets to give him excuse? Afterwards he angrily says that he wants that numbers to increase by tomorrow, and he leaves the place while they are saying understood. Afterwards the protagonist tries to leave the place without getting caught, since he haven't paid this month's payment. Afterwards in the classroom, Ren was thinking that even if he could enroll into this school using a scholarship, poor people like him will only get ignored. Afterwards he looks at his post, only to see 0 likes, like this video you are watching. Afterwards he scrolls more and finds out the owner that posted something got lots of likes. Ren gets jealous since their post looks so luxurious, while Ren can only post something about a cat, and suddenly Ren gets a message, and he looks at it and finds out that someone liked his post, and he was surprised, and he says her name as Hayashi Rika, and Ren tries to look at her, while someone asking Rya on what she is looking at, and Rika says she is looking at a cat account, and she says that this cat is so cute, which why she is looking at it. Afterwards Ren goes on by thinking that he is in luck, since he didn't used his real name to that account, and someone suddenly bangs Ren's bench, and he asks Ren even a poor guy like him can pay for Billy, while the other guy shouts by telling others to pay the bill for Billy. Afterwards Ren apologizes to him, and he says that he can't pay the monthly fee, since he is using multiple free accounts, to which that guy replies with that's some poor people's excuse, and he goes on by kicking Ren off the chair, and Ren falls in the ground, and all the other people in the students in the class were shocked, while they are beating the hell out of Ren, by repeating the words of him being poor. Afterwards he takes out the scholarship form, and he says if he is begging for money to them. Afterwards the bully grabs his hair and takes the scholarship form, and Ren thinks to himself that they just suck up to the rich people, since they are from healthy family. After that bully asks Ren on why he is starting at him, and kicks Ren, by saying Ren to get lost if he doesn't have money. Afterwards they takes Ren's lunch and laughs by saying that he is so poor, and they intentionally drops the food, and they tells him to eat the food out from the ground, and laughs really hard, and Ren started to cry by thinking that his lunch got spilled. Afterwards he calls everyone by saying that this what the poor get, isn't it right, while someone is taking a picture. Afterwards the bully calls the other guy by telling his name, to which he says that it really suits him right. Afterwards everyone started to laugh while Ren was just there, and everyone in the comments started to make fun of Ren, and then someone opens the class door, which was Sho, and after seeing Sho the class went silent, and then Sho asks them to come with him, and after hearing that they went with him leaving Ren alone. While crying Ren thinks those who are favored by the rich can anything they want, this is unfair. After a while, Ren was sitting in the stairs, thinking that he had endured all kinds of unreasonable treatment, thinking that he only needs to endure them until the graduation, but he reached his limit, and he looks at his lunch, and whenever Ren wakes up his mom wakes up before him, and makes his lunchbox, and after seeing that every morning, he can't say to her that he wants to quit the school. Afterwards those bullies comes by the stairs saying that they don't know where that poor guy went, while Ren was shocked. After that they look at Ren, and they started to laugh at Ren by saying that he is eating here alone all along, and Ren smiling says that that's not it, but Ren thinks and says sorry to his home, since he is at limit, and Ren gets punched in the face, and they says what are you smiling about you poor guy, while Ren is lying there with the blood in his face. Afterwards they grabs Ren and they puts Ren in the end of the valley, and they say that because of him they got punished by Sho, and it was ledge of the rooftop, and Ren looks down at it by saying that he doesn't have money to pay, and they punches Ren in the stomach, and while Ren was kneeling down they says that they covered Ren's pay by themselves, after hearing that Ren knees down, and asks them sorry since he doesn't have any money, and they started to beat him by telling him to quit the school if he doesn't have money, and Ren thinks to himself that if it is his fault by being poor, and then Ren thinks to himself that he really needs power. If he doesn't have it, he can easily overturn this unreasonable treatment to him. Afterwards they takes out a brick by saying that if only he had power, he could easily able to overcome the situation, and he starts to think if only he had power over and over again, which ignites Ren's eyes, and he punches the bully, which sent him flying, and Ren was just standing there, and after seeing that the other two comes in for the attack and gets punched by Ren, and while doing it Ren was smiling, and the other guy comes back to hit Ren, but gets a good kick by Ren. Afterwards he stands there while looking at them defeated, and another Ren was looking at him, and he thinks why is there another Ren here, and he asks him on who is he, to which the other Ren says that it seems like he got reincarnated as him, to which the original Ren thinks to himself if he is dreaming or something, and he goes on by thinking that reincarnation that only happens in manga. Afterwards he starts to panic by saying that all of this place is pitch black, Afterwards, the original Ren starts to tap the mirror by saying that if this is connected to the Rhea world, and the other Ren tells him to pull himself. Afterwards he goes on by saying that he is also as clueless as Ren, and he goes on by saying that he already died once, which shocked the normal Ren, and he was sitting there alone. And he says that he had no choice but to be alone, because when he became aware there were no one around him, and in the place he was living was full of poverty, and poverty means living with death side by side, and when he sees in the distance all he can see is wealth, and time goes on he became a big guy, and the emotion to become a rich has turned into an anger, and he says that he started to fight the injustice with force, and that guy punched some rich guy, and he says that's how he lived. Afterwards he was sitting in a place, and someone calls his name as Park Se-young, and they say that for the crimes of murder and robbery, they now send him to death sentence, but he was thinking on why him, and they asks him if have any last words, to which he was sitting there in front of a little girl, and he looks at them, and as his last words he says that he did nothing wrong, since all he was trying to do is save a girl from rich people, but the policeman just presses the button, and Park Se-young got hanged while he was getting that he was thinking that he can't die yet, since there are things that he still wants to do, and he says that's his life story to Ren. And Ren says that he was delinquent, that's scary. Afterwards Ren says that he died, and found himself in Ren's body, and then he beat up those bad guys, to which Park says that's correct, while looking at a book which is 18+, and then Ren tells him to put that book down, and he goes on by saying that he wants his body back, and Park was looking at the book's every detail, and suddenly original Ren comes back, and his mom comes back from work, and after seeing his mom Ren swings his hands back. But his mom saw what he was holding and says that he is old enough think about that. While Ren is throwing the book, and Park says that if he concentrate hard enough he can go back to his body. Afterwards his mom says that the dinner is ready, while Park was thinking that wherever he is lending the body he goes back to this space, and Park was thinking that mother is nice. Afterwards Park says that he can see through the reflective surfaces when their body has been switched. Afterwards Ren asks him on why is he being in his body, to which Park says that he doesn't know the reason, and Ren tells him to not to the things that he did in the school today, since standing out in school won't do anything good. Afterwards in the next day, everyone was going to the school, and all the students there were wearing gold stuffs, like gold ring, gold watch, and they are talking to themselves happily, while Park telling to Ren that there are many rich kids are here, to which Ren goes on by saying that graduating from this school really guarantees placement, which means their future is secured. Afterwards he goes on by saying that people really wants their kids to study here even if they have to struggle, and Ren says even if it is in Rotten Academy. Afterwards someone was walking through the hallway, which was Show. After that Park asks him on why he is coming to school this late, to which Ren says that he is special, since he is one of the God Four, and he goes on by saying that thanks to their good education from small age, and the post from his account at Billy got a lot of likes, Ren says that if he is late of the class it doesn't really matter. And they can also eat whatever they want, and Show posted eating something luxury, and even the teachers can't say anything to him, and he goes on by saying that they are practically like a god in this academy. Afterwards it was that bullies they are giving the money for the Billy app, and Show says that it's not enough, and he kicks the bully, and Ren says the lower classes receives violence. Afterwards the bully bumps into someone, and then that guy was about say something, to which the bully suddenly gets angry, and he starts to beat that guy, and he says that the cycle continues, the lower beating the lowest, and that other guy comes to class, and he calls Ren. Afterwards he puts his notebook on Ren's head by saying that he got beaten by the Show's friend yesterday. Afterwards Ren says to survive in this academy all he can do is to endure, but Park says then they got to change the rules then, to which Ren says that there is no way to do that, but Park says that there is a way to do it, and he grabs the other guy's hands, and Ren says whose head you think hitting, and Park says don't get too cocky, while Ren in the other dimension at his phone, and he was crying while saying don't switch bodies without permission.